Hey, what's going on, guys? Archer Mark here, and I'm back with another Star Wars figure review. Today I have for you from the Black Series 6-inch scale, this is Poe Dameron. It's a very nice figure. Now, of course, this is him in his pilot uniform, as opposed to the other outfit that we saw in the Target 2-pack. I'll give you a little comparison to that figure in a few moments in this review, but first, focus on this figure. Let's show you the packaging real quick. We'll just go over that. Standard packaging at this point with the black and red color scheme, which I really like. With Star Wars The Black Series, you have the bubble down here, and a nice black and white image of Poe. And we got the Hasbro logo. There's the name, warning, jumping hazard. Not much down here, just the name. This is figure number 7. And we go down here, we have the little mini bio here. An ace pilot, Poe Dameron is a leader in the Resistance fight against the evil First Order. He soars into battle behind the controls of a modern X-Wing. And all the different languages, and same image here. We go down here, Disney logo, Hasbro logo, all that stuff. So, there is the packaging. On to the main reason, and that's the figure. Like I said, a good figure has its shortcomings, but we'll go over that. First, it's to just take a full up and down 360, and we got all nice kind of details on the uniform. Again, I really like this uniform. I wanted a Poe Dameron figure, and I found the 2-pack first, so I picked that up, but I still wanted to get this because it's the orange pilot jumpsuit. It's just very classic looking. It's very Star Wars. Obviously very reminiscent of, say, Wedge Antilles, or of course Luke Skywalker. And we get all the usual details. We see the orange jumpsuit, the white vest, and we got a little bit of a wash there, a little bit of details. So, and we got nice silver paint on the buckles and the straps here. And we got this piece here with these little gadgets. And then cool sculpting and paintwork on the control box here. And the Rebel insignia. And we have the Arabish writing. Just showing you all the little bits. That brings us to the facial sculpt, which is the biggest hindrance of this figure. Unfortunately, just the eyes. Look at him. He looks stoned. Oh, almost. They just look so derpy looking. Now there were, I think, six or 7 figures on the pegs when I was going through, and just wanted to find the best paint. And some had paint missing from the eyebrows, and there were several that had orange splotches on the white vest and things like that. And this was just overall was the best one paint wise, but it's just that facial sculpt just looks just bad. It's not good. But we do have that option of posing him with his helmet on if you like, so you don't have to worry about it. Let's give you a look at some of his other accessories. He has a alternate version of his hands that you could swap out. Obviously, these are ungloved versions. This does feature a better trigger finger, so this holds the blaster gun a little bit more, so gives you some things to think about when displaying this figure, how you want him. If you're going to have him with the blaster, you might want to use these hands. If it's going to be in the holster, then you could use the gloved hands. Here's his helmet, which I really like. I think the paint scheme on this looks very nice. All the little markings. We have the yellow visor. Of course, the Rebel insignias and all the little markings there. The black black paint, and we got some gray, and the white and the red. Just looks really good. And just to compare Here's the helmet that we got with the Target 2-pack. Exact same helmet, just different paint scheme. You know, I like this one as well. It's nice, but this one I just like it more. Just something about it just looks a lot cooler. Okay, and then his other accessory is his blaster pistol. Okay. Really nice little blaster pistol. Just sculpted into one gray color, but it still looks good. You know, it's a smaller pistol. It's not something we've seen in the Star Wars universe. I believe before. I don't recall other characters having something like this. And I like the size. It's, you know, very typical of a pilot, that they would not be heavily armed. So they tend to have just smaller guns. So I think the fact that it has a very tiny pistol is good. I like it. Okay. Now I'm going to show you swapping out the hands. They're pretty tight. You know, they're not. It's not super hard to take out, but you know, just pull on them good. See, it's a nice thick peg, so I don't think there's any worries of it breaking. Now we'll just get this guy in there. Okay, and we'll show you the blaster pistol. Does fit in the holster. Slips in there very good. And we'll put it in the hand, just to show you that. Get that in there. And you can see it does fit in the trigger a lot better than the gloved hand. So that looks good. I think that looks really cool. Okay. I'm going to go over the articulation, which does have some shortcomings, but you know, the head is, you know, the standard ball joint and hinge that we've seen with all the other figures, but it just doesn't. It looks down just a little bit, won't look up. That's all you get. That's all the range of motion you get there. So that's a bit of a letdown. You can get nice left and right, so you get that's pretty good. Ball joints at the shoulders, so arms move up, down, you get forward, backwards. Just a single joint on the elbow, so you get up and down, and you have a swivel there. Now here's something, you get a swivel with the gloves right about this point where you still have here, but with the ungloved hands you also get a swivel and hinge joint at the wrists, which is cool. Again, an added bit of articulation, so again, something to think about when you're deciding which set of hands you want to use with this guy. You have an upper torso joint which moves left and right, only a little bit hindered by this black tube, not too bad, and can't move back too much, but you do get a little bit of movement forward, so that's pretty decent. There's no waist articulation. It seems like there might be an articulation cut there, but it's not moving. So I don't think it's there. Hips can move out just a little bit. Again, they're greatly hindered by the straps, so you're not going to get much movement there. Legs can move forward and back. This one is a little bit more hindered because of the tubing. Again, but that's to be expected. You know, pilot characters like this are going to have straps like this, so it should be expected. But it's, you know, it still has a decent range of motion. You have upper thigh swivel, which is good. Double hinge joints at the knees, and then we have hinge joints at the ankles, so up, down, and you do have ankle pivot, so great range of motion on the lower half of the figure. Again, the letdown being the head just doesn't move up at all, and can't really move down too much. It's a little hard. And again, we've seen this with all the newer figures that we're only getting single joints on the elbows. I don't think it's such a bad deal with this, but with other figures, I think we really needed the double jointed. But overall, articulation is pretty good. With just the small, hindrances with the straps, as I mentioned, but that just goes with the design of the character. So articulation is still pretty good. You can still get some decent poses there. And again, you have the various options of the gloved hands or the non-gloved hands. And you can fit the helmet, of course, on his head. And that helps because it covers up the facial sculpt. It covers up the misshaped eyes. So this is probably how I'm going to display him, is with the helmet on. It just covers up that defect. So there you go. Actually, before I get on with that, let me bring in, here's the other Poe. And if we put them side by side, see, this is a much better facial sculpt, and it's a shame that we couldn't get this facial sculpt on this figure, and it would make it a lot better. But just to compare, there's the two. This one is definitely a lot better. So there it is, the Poe Dameron in his pilot uniform. Still a good figure. I think the figure is still worth it, even if you have the Target 2-pack version. I think it's still a good figure to pick up. Maybe you don't feel you don't need two Poe figures, but I think it still is a good figure to pick up. Because it's just that orange jumpsuit, the pilot jumpsuit, just makes him stand out from the other characters. And again, it's just so classic looking, very Star Wars, very reminiscent of the original films. So there you have it. Hope you liked this review. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. This is, again, Star Wars: The Black Series 6-inch scale, Poe Dameron in his pilot uniform. And thanks for watching, and until my next review, may the Force be with you.